Okay, there's probably a good reason for staggered release of a new show. Star Trek Starfleet Academy was released later on some territories than others, for instance, mine. Uh, that other services can do it simultaneously is beside the point, of course, but Paramount will have their reasons. What I cannot excuse is that the official Star Trek social media channels drop spoilers worldwide. The staggered release is already a sign that some fans are more important than others. America first or something like that. But spoilers, that is just a major freak you to foreign fans. Paramount, do better. This is the review of Champions, and I'm your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of the finest champions Cigar has to offer. Let me introduce them to you. First up, we have Mr. Taylor first. How are you this fine evening?
I am great. I'm very happy to be here to review Deep Space Nine Season 2 because we have never done it before and lost the video. It's not happened.
No, that never happened. No. Well, technically, we didn't use it, but we couldn't align the audio track and the video track. But let's not get into details. I'm an amateur. Sorry. Of course, also with us is Merv, our newbie to track. How are you, man?
I'm good.
That's great to hear. This is episode 23.2 of the Star Trek project, where we will be reviewing Star Trek. All of it in order of release, kind of. Today we're going to talk about, as Taylor nicely spoiled, about Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 2. Again. But before we do, I want to ask you all to help us out. Like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you really can't get enough of us, join our ranks at cigar.freeform.net. Set up that account, get to know us, and yes, join us in our shows. We have spots available. We love it if you do that. As mentioned before, a few times already actually, we will be discussing the 26 episodes of Season 2 of Star Trek Deep Space Nine today. So let's dive right into it. And as you may or may not be familiar with our shows when we deal with Star Trek seasons, we start off with a new section called Grandmaster Picks. And in Grandmaster's Picks, I get to pick 3 episodes, sorta, and the champions need to discuss those first before they get to pick their favorite episodes of the season. And for this season, I picked 3 episodes as one. The first 3 episodes of the season, actually, The Homecoming, The Circle, and The Siege. But I didn't stop there. I also chose Rules of Acquisition, and I chose the last episode of the season, The Jem'Hadar. So I'm going to give the word to Taylor now. You get to pick which one you want to talk about first, but please discuss all.
Well, the opening 3 episodes, of course, are kind of one story arc, and they're really good. It's a great way to start off the season. It sets up a lot of information about Bajoran culture and Bajoran politics and what's going on there. And my favorite part of those 3 episodes, of course, are the guest stars. You have Richard Beymer playing the hero of the Bajoran Revolution or the Bajoran Resistance, who's now kind of being pushed into politics and he doesn't really want to be. And Frank Langella as a Bajoran leader, holy man, who's kind of trying to pull strings and has his own agenda. And then later we even have Steven Weber from Wings as a Bajoran security officer. So a lot of great guest stars came in for this opening bout of episodes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, really good. They set up a whole lot of good stuff there. I know you said Jem'Hadar. What was the middle one?
The Rules of Acquisition.
Oh, the Rules of Acquisition. That's a good episode. Of course, it's a Ferengi heavy episode. A Ferengi woman pretends to be a man. Of course, in Ferengi society, women are not permitted to do business or wear clothes or do pretty much anything at all, except take care of their homes. And she, while disguised as a man, she falls in love with Quark, and helps him do business. They are trying to do business with the Gamma Quadrant through the wormhole, and this episode, I believe, is the first time we hear the word Dominion. That with a Quark is told, if you want to do any business, you want to get anything done in the Gamma Quadrant, you have to go through the Dominion. And of course, we will find out a lot more about that going forward. But yeah, just a solid episode there. And of course, the finale, the Jem'Hadar, is where we meet the Dominion's soldiers. Of course, they're the Jem'Hadar, rhinoceros-like alien soldiers that serve the founders of the Dominion. They, of course, are very secretive, and they capture Cisco. And was it Quark? I believe Quark was also captured.
Yeah.
And there is a Vorta who is pretending to also be a prisoner, but of course we find out later that the Vorta also work for the Dominion. But they're obviously just testing. They do a lot of testing in these early, like in season 2 and 3. The Dominion is putting out a lot of feelers, gathering a lot of intelligence, doing a lot of testing of humans and Federation people and Starfleet and all of that. So we do learn quite a bit about them. That they, again, they're vicious soldiers. They have self-cloaking devices. And of course, the Dominion, we learned that the Dominion is not above, a lot of underhanded and sneaky, espionage type activities. Again, all really well acted and executed episodes. So yeah, those are three good choices.
Oh, thank you.
5 technically good choices.
Yeah, 5. Yeah. I took 20% of the season off for you guys, so
there you go.
just to make your life hard. But you're champions, so you can deal with it. So I actually chose the rules of acquisition because of the reason you mentioned earlier. It is the first time we hear the word Dominion. Of course, Merv, you're new to Star Trek. You're coming along nicely, I think, in your Deep Space Nine rewatch. You're a lot further than the last time we talked about this season, but still. When you hear the word Dominion in the rules of acquisition, it must have meant 0 or nothing.
Yeah, borderline nothing at the time. It's a word, you know what I mean? Like it has a presence, you know what I mean? I will say that, like, even before you know anything about it, like it's like, oh, what is that? I don't know. We're dealing with Quark and the Ferengi. I'll pay attention to that instead of that, little brief conversation he had.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was definitely there.
Yeah, absolutely. But Ferengi episodes are also always great, and this one is no exception. So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I do. The Ferengi are there with like the Klingons and some other species at this point. Even I'll put the Jem'Hadar in that as well, where they're immediately interesting to me. I like episodes that focus and explore like that particular culture a little heavier. And for the most part, like, we know what kind of person Quark is and kind of what the Ferengi are as people, but like, I felt like it was the first time, at least, we really got to explore like what it means to be a Ferengi woman. You know what I mean? And it's vastly different than a Ferengi man. So I thought that was all pretty interesting. And Quark was really good, and I just thought the look at the culture was really good in that episode. And then, as Taylor said, the opening 3 episodes, continuation from the first season, where like Bajoran politics are pretty heavily, like, a lot of episodes might be episodic, but like if there's one through line, it's like Bajoran politics are in a crossroads of sorts in a lot of different ways.
As a matter of fact, I always consider the last episode of season 1 the first episode of this mini arc in Deep Space Nine, because basically it directly connects to it in a way. Bajor for the Bajorans, stuff like that. It's also in that episode, and of course you get Vedic Wynn, played by the amazing Louise Fletcher, who is very much beloved for her incredible portrayal of Vedic / Vedic Wynn, and hated she's hated.
Yeah.
But it immediately connects to that. So I believe in. I also picked for season one. I picked that last episode as well, and I did that for the same reason. I picked the first three in this. Yeah, it's a great mini arc story, movie like story inside Deep Space Nine, and it really sets off Bajoran politics and the intricacies in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely like, before we get to the Dominion problem, it's our biggest issue is the Bajorans, the Cardassians, and then the Bajoran like infighting that they kind of have at the end of first season, and then the beginning of the second season, and then maybe a little bit of stuff later. But yeah, it's all really cool, and in particular, I the character of Kira from season one was one of, if not my favorite character in that season. And I think in these specifically Bajoran heavy episodes, she really shines through, because she's our main point of contact when it comes to those people. So I really like the opening of this, and just how much story there was right out of the gate. We weren't meandering around at all. We just got right into it fresh off that season one finale. So that was great. And then the Jem'Hadar, which again, it's another season ender that really sets up so much for the oncoming season. I feel like, or at least dangles that carrot of what the story potential is going to be. It's one of my favorite episodes of this season. It was fantastic. I liked it even before the Jem'Hadar showed up. I liked the camping odd couple bits with
Right.
Cisco and Quark and Jake and Nog, and then the Jem'Hadar shows up and the escaped person and that whole thing, and it just kept escalating and escalating, and we really got to see like how ferocious the Jem'Hadar are. I believe they essentially ran their ship into a Starfleet vessel and destroyed both. And it's like, yeah, they're not above like suicide bombings and stuff like that. Like they're a problem to deal with, and this is just like the tip of the iceberg for that as far as Deep Space Nine is concerned. So
Yeah,
really, really great season finale there.
yeah, and just for context, this episode, the last episode of season two of Deep Space Nine, ran simultaneously in the final episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. And as an introduction to the Dominion and the Jem'Hadar, they just destroy a Galaxy-class starship, which we have seen for 7 years, which seems untouchable. Well, I guess not. So I didn't see it at the time at that particular moment, but I when I first saw it, I immediately understood the implications of that scene.
Yeah,
Must have
just
been a
how big a
shocker.
threat they are. Yeah, it was awesome.
It's a shocker. It's a shocker. Um, Merv, how do you like season two compared to season one?
I like it. I think for the most part, I tend to enjoy character arcs and character journeys more than like other things, and I think with a lot of characters, season two like is a step up and a step forward in a lot of different ways. It's still, like I said, at times episodic. So like you'll get one-off episodes dealing with something that they may not touch on again, and I like that aspect of it where you can just tune in and tune out and tune in and tune out, and that's fine. But when it comes to individual character arcs, that's where I think it really starts picking up a pace a little bit. In particular, some characters that stood out for me were Dax and Odo, where in particularly in season one, like they might have had a few moments, but like it was really just the characters themselves, like just what they were and how they operated. Like that was the interesting part. And in season two, I felt like both those characters got a little bit more who these people are or who these characters are and like where they come from and just a lot of background info on some of these people. So I like the escalation of just expansion rather than escalation of the characters involved in the show in particular, and then of obviously the big plot problem of the Dominion on the horizon. So
Yeah, it has a lot of promises, but it also grows the series a lot in season two. Any particular episode that stood out for you?
yeah, touching on the characters I mentioned. I'll say that there are at least 2 Dax episodes in this season, Dax-centered episodes in this season that I really enjoyed. One being Invasive Procedure, where um, Dax is essentially bound, and they take the Dax part of Jadzia Dax out and like put it into another person, and then there's a whole effort to try to get her back because like essentially I think both beings will die without the other. But I loved the exploration of that physiology, and in particular, like the moments where Cisco, because he has such a history with the Dax slug in a different form, like
Mm-hmm.
the moment it was in a new person, they were just hitting it off like they had known each other for decades, and I just always find that interesting. That like, especially from Cisco's perspective, I can kind of understand it from Dax's perspective because they don't their perspective doesn't change, but like from Cisco's perspective, he just meets this guy and it's all of a sudden it's his best friend, and they can share these memories that like this particular guy never had, but like the thing in his belly did.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that episode a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's the one where the station is undergoing some maintenance, or there's a storm and it's abandoned for the most part, except for the skeleton crew. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, it's a great episode. It's like a heist type hostage situation thing, and of
Yeah.
course, it's the woman, of course, that talks the man down in the end. But anyway, Taylor, for you, any episodes you say, yeah, I want to talk about that?
Well, there's lots of them, but I'll keep it limited. First of all, this whole season, a lot of stuff is introduced, and there's a lot of world building that happens. We find out that under Cardassian control, the station was called Terok Nor. We see there's a Klingon restaurant on the promenade. The Maquis is introduced in a couple of episodes, and of course they're going to play a role going forward, not just for this show but also for Voyager. So there's a lot of things going on throughout this season. As far as specific episodes, man, where to start?
Or just pick one. Maybe
There
Merv has
is
another for you.
there is Blood Oath, which is a great episode, of course, because it brings back 3 actors from the original series to reprise their roles as Klingons. William Campbell as Koloff, John Kalikos as Korg, and Michael Ansara as Kang, who are now all old white-haired Klingons who have a blood oath vendetta to kill some uh, albino who murdered their kids. And Curzon Dax was friends with all of them and was part of their original blood oath. Now, of course, he is dead, but his symbiote is in Jadzia Dax. And, of course, Kang says, you do not owe us anything. This is not your blood oath. You are released from any promises you made. But she insists. Eventually, she comes around. She thinks about it. She goes through a lot of, thought process and growth about it, and decides to join them on this quest. And she's a full-on Klingon warrior here. This is kind of the early hints of where the Dax character is going to be going, because later on, she becomes full-on Xeno warrior princess as later seasons go on, because at the time in television history, pulpiness and warrior women were kind of exploding in the culture, thanks in part to Sam Raimi, but that's a whole nother discussion. But they leaned into it later on. But she goes on the trip. Unfortunately, Koloff and Kang are killed in the battle, but they do kill the albino, and they get their revenge, and their honor is served. And Korg is, of course, still alive, and he will come back later. Anyway, just great episode, great action, great to see these characters and the same actors brought back from the original series.
Yeah, they did Marvel before Marvel was even a thing.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah, I will always say that Star Trek is the first shared universe that and did it right. Because nowadays, but that's a discussion for another day.
Right. And another episode, which is also a nod to the original series, is Crossover, where Kira and Bashir through twist of fate, end up in the mirror universe, the same mirror universe that Kirk went into in the original series, and we see what's happened there in the time since. And it's a very dark place now. And I always like these episodes because we get to see some of the actors play their alternate versions, and they get to step outside of their characters and be a little bit different, like Odo in this one, and Garrick and others show up in this episode. And of course, Kira, primary universe, Major Kira is sexy enough. In the mirror universe, they have super sexy Major Kira, who is a dominatrix lord over the quadrant type freaking character. I don't remember what they called her, but she doesn't wear much clothes, and what clothes she does wear are really, really tight.
Yeah, the intendant is she's lovely.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, those are a couple of my good. And I just want to make one other episode real quick. Tribunal, which is, I believe, the second to the last episode, where Miles O'Brien gets framed for some crime he didn't commit and gets arrested by the Cardassians and put on trial. And we get to see the Cardassian legal system, and it's a really great insight. It's you're guilty, so here's your lawyer to tell you how to plead guilty and maybe get a slightly less painful death sentence.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear that you're not guilty. We don't want to hear any evidence or anything like that. We're going to show the people that our system works by having it all go real smoothly. And you're just going to plead guilty, and we're going to say we're going to mercifully administer your punishment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, when through some finagling by Cisco and others, and some help from Odo, they're actually able to get him out of it. His poor lawyer is afraid they're going to execute him because he won a case, and he's not supposed to win cases.
Yeah, indeed. It would be funny if it wasn't so tragic.
Exactly.
But yeah, Merv, you have another episode you want to talk about, and I have a high hope you will pick this one, but I will let you.
I don't know if it's the one that you think, but the one that's that I was looking at was Whispers, which is where Miles O'Brien starts noticing some paranoia. He starts noticing people are acting differently towards him, not keeping him in the loop and things like that, and his paranoia starts to grow over the course of the episode. And we've seen episodes structured like this, in maybe in this series, but definitely in the Next Generation and the original series, where some outside influence is affecting the crew, like maybe one by one, and it's up to like a small group, potentially just one character, to try to save everybody. And that's like the vibe that you get through this. Like, why is everybody acting weird? Blah blah blah. We're following the perspective of Miles O'Brien. And the reason I mentioned it is because the twist was amazing, where he's actually a clone, and everyone else was the normal person, and they were trying to like not get him to freak out and trying to get him to rein in and all this stuff, but it just kept escalating out of control. And I love the twist at the end whenever you see like the real O'Brien over here, and everybody's just trying to get him to like calm down, just come into custody, like we'll deal with it. And then his final words or whatever, like he gets shot in the scrum, I think, by some guards, and his final words are essentially like, "Tell Keiko I love her," or something like that. And it's just like he didn't know the difference. Like he thought he was real O'Brien, and that just it's kind of heartbreaking and tragic when you think about it that way. As like he didn't know he was a clone. But yeah, that episode always stuck out to me. And the more I think about it, the more I enjoy it and like want to rewatch it just to see all the little hints and stuff like that might drop in there.
Yeah, but before you start to rewatch Deep Space Nine, which no doubt we will do at some point in your life, you should finish it first. But that's basically Deep Space Nine. Bajoran politics, Dominion warfare, and suffering of Miles Edward O'Brien.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I was actually hoping either of you would pick The Wire.
Oh yeah, The Wire. Yeah.
That's a great episode. An episode where it turns out that Elam Garrick has a device planted in his brain, and put there by the Obsidian Order, and we learn a little bit more about his background, or do we? I mean, who can tell the lies if they're true or not? They're all true. I guess he said so himself. But and then we first meet Mr. Nabrantane, of course, who will turn out to be. I don't know where you are, Merv, so I don't want to spoil anything. Oh, you're already in season 5. Okay, so okay, that's still tricky. Anyway, but Nabrantane, of course, was the head of the Obsidian Order before, and he doesn't. And he will help Garrick. But I love this episode because it's a Bashir Garrick episode, heavy on that relationship, and
Yes.
yeah, um, that dynamic was always a little bit. How you say it? There was some subtext there,
Hmm.
if you know what I mean, and that was confirmed, by the way, by Andrew Robinson, who plays Garrick in the documentary "What We Left Behind." But any thoughts on that episode that I didn't mention?
Um, Cisco and Dax don't even appear in that episode. It's very much focused on Garrick and Bashir.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really the first time we really hear about the Obsidian Order.
Yeah.
And of course, we learn a lot more about that going forward.
No.
Yeah, I like that episode a lot. While you were talking, it reminded me that like Bashir in particular might not be my favorite character. There's just something, he's I don't hate him, but he's not like top of my list. But I love his relationships, particularly with Garrick and with Miles O'Brien. Like
Mhm.
he has these friendships that like help really like make the Deep Space Nine like world like I don't know, flesh out or feel natural and stuff like that. So anytime I'm seeing like him and Bashir and O'Brien like play darts, or him and Garrick like having tea on Sunday or whatever they do, like I don't know, it just like it feels nice to see that like these people have social lives and it's not all just about like the plot story. It's like there's these little things thrown in that might
Yeah.
be insignificant or whatever. But this is
It feels
where
like
you
a
first
real
start.
space station where people just know each other.
Yeah.
And of course you have visitors coming in and out, but people who live on the space station know each other. It's like a small village, and it really feels like that.
Yeah, it's very familiar.
Yeah, it's very well done. Taylor, Merv, any other episodes you want to point out or talk about?
No.
No, okay. Of course, I have said I will be demanding a top 10 episodes list, a top 10 list of episodes in Deep Space Nine from you guys without spoilers. Merv, do you think there will be an episode of season 2? And you haven't seen everything yet, but will there be a season 2 episode in your top 10 list? Is there a chance?
I think there is a good possibility.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Don't spoil it. I want to be surprised. Taylor, do you think there will be a season 2 episode in your top 10 list?
I think so, because my top 10 list includes about 30 episodes,
Yeah.
including about half of season 6 all alone.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, my 2 favorite Deep Space Nine episodes are actually from season 6, so
Yeah.
but I don't want to spoil anything.
It's going to be really hard to make my top 10 list. I'll just say that. But season 2 has as good a chance as anybody.
You just make like a March Madness bracket with episodes, and then you just and then you can do like a rematch for the ones that got eliminated early. So at a certain moment, you're left with about 16, and then you just go like this.
Yeah, we'll have to come up with some kind of system.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, that will conclude this month's episode of the Star Trek Project. We hope we hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. If you did, help us out, like and share this review, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you really want more of us, join our forum at Sacardo Freeforms. There's a link in the description, people. Just click on it. Episode 24 of the Star Trek project, we will be discussing, and this is a major surprise for everybody, Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 3. For now, I want to thank you all also on behalf of Merv and Taylor, and wish you to live long and prosper. Bye.